Welcome to the very first Premier League video cast of the new season. You are warmly welcome to Easy Odds. Good to have you with us and what is going to be hopefully an exciting betting season all the way through to next May/June. And there's only one man we could have because he's in unbelievable form already this season. If you're with us on easyodds.com on Wednesday night, was it Tuesday night?
Tuesday night.
5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
In the League Cup. Tremendous work from Ross Casey, of course, is the editor of easyodds.com. Rossi, some really good fixtures this weekend.
Yeah,
let's go to
the fish list.
I love it. I'm going to watch every single game. Let's go top of the shop. Let's go Aston Villa versus Man United. I know this doesn't really mean much, but 5th versus 7th as it stands at the moment. Of course, that can change. Last time Villa won this fixture was way back in '95 when a certain person said a certain thing.
Yeah, that would be Alan Hansen on Match of the Day when Aston Villa beat Manchester United in the opening day match, and they and Alan Hansen said that you won't win anything with kids, and that proved pretty wrong as those kids proved to be Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, that is 18 seasons now that in the actual Premier League, Aston Villa have played against Man United and failed to win.
Wow.
But I'm actually backing them in a slightly different way,
Okay.
and that's in the double chance market here. I actually think that they've actually drawn 4 of their last 8 matches at Villa Park, so it's not a terrible record. Granted, they haven't beaten them, but they don't need to win this match to win this bet for me,
No.
which is absolutely great. And a massive reason for the reason actually backing them is that I don't think Man United actually played very well against Tottenham.
They were awful.
I think Tottenham created quite a lot of chances. They had quite a bit of control in that game. Ericsson, in particular, had a great chance about 10 minutes into the game, and had he scored that, then perhaps the complexion of the game may have been a lot different. I think it papered over quite a few cracks, that scoreline. Plus, it looks like Romero may play in goal again. And
You don't like him, do you?
I'm not saying he's terrible, but he is not good in the air.
No.
And Rudy Hested up front for Aston Villa is an absolute mammoth, and they will be flying balls left, right and centre towards him, and I think that he will trouble him, and I'm not sure that he'll fancy playing up against the £6 million man.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting indeed. So we start off with an odds against tip at 27 for 20. Villa double chance. Let's go down to the south coast, and why not? The weather's going to be nice apparently this weekend as Everton are the visitors at Southampton. It's 11th versus 9th, but what doesn't conceal that is that Everton, we think 2 years ago, pretty good side, pretty good squad. It's the same squad this year around, but their away record recently has been deplorable.
Yes, away from home, Everton have been a pretty poor side. Nine losses out of their last 13 away matches, which is just not good enough at this level, especially when their home form hasn't exactly been glowing. But interestingly, for this match, in specific to last year, where Everton had Europa League to worry about, of course this season it's the other way around.
But it's not kicked in yet, so it doesn't really apply to this game, does it?
I think it does, because
do you think so?
Southampton have got to play their playoff on the Thursday night. So, however, I do think that Southampton are actually pretty good value here at evens to win the game. My personal view on football betting is that if a team is at home and is evens or better the odds there, then that's pretty good value.
Okay.
Pretty much, unless of course that team is Blackpool, who are terrible. But here's my reasoning for this one. I think that Southampton play such a great pressing game that with the likes of Barry in midfield, if he gets caught whilst trying to play his little passes, which Everton tend to try and do, play it out the back quite slowly at a pretty slow pace at the moment. I think if he gets caught and the likes of Mane is running at players like your favourite player Oviedo and Tony Hibbert, then they could be in trouble. And I honestly think that Southampton here at an evens price is a pretty good bet. You can get Everton at almost 4-1 to win this game, which proves just how bad their away form is. But Southampton, attacking wise, look an absolute threat. They've scored at least 2 goals in all of their matches in pre-season. Plus, they've got Juaciano Pele, who is in absolutely incredible form, and oddly only seems to score goals at the start of the season.
So after the next 2 games, we'll finish with Pella. Really interesting for Everton fans and those who do bet as well, how Everton's style has changed over the last 3 seasons. Rossi, you mentioned there that their build-up in the last 18 months has been very slow over Martinez. It always used to be bang, 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 didn't it? Especially down the left-hand side with Baines and Pinot. Just goes to show how a style of play can affect how your results are as well. Let's go to Selhurst Park. The ground in the country for me, the most atmospheric I've been to in the last couple of years. So, Crystal Palace versus Arsenal. I'm going to read out the positions because I love the sound of this. It's 3rd versus 19th for all you Arsenal fans. Well, things can only get better. But Arsenal have got a really, really good record in this fixture, haven't they?
Absolutely. They've won 5 out of 5 at Selhurst Park. So Arsene Wenger will be heading to South London thinking, oh, hello, here comes my first 3 points of the season. But I have to admit, Crystal Palace have bought incredibly well.
Brilliantly.
This summer. I'm really excited to watch Crystal Palace this season. They're going to be a fast attacking team.
Do you think they can make the top 6 or 7, possibly?
I think they're too short for top 6 or 7, but I think a top 8 finish is more than manageable for them this season. And at home, I'm not actually sure it actually suits them all that well because they play such a counter-attacking style that I think away from home they'll possibly get more points than they will at home this season with the likes of Balassi and Zaha.
Balassi, he is a monster, isn't he?
He is. He's electric. He does need to get a few more goals into his game, but he is a very, very good player. But I think the value bet here isn't Arsenal to win at 3-4. You can squeeze a little bit more value out of Palace +1 here.
Okay.
At a best price of 5-4. Palace, as I said, they have got such a pacey forward line. And if you recall the match last weekend where Payet and Sakho, who are 2 very pacey men, up against Arsenal, they gave those Arsenal back line an absolutely torrid game and they ran them ragged, and that was just pretty much 2, whereas Palace have got a front 4 now who are all very, very fast. And I think with the way that Arsenal played in that first match of the season where they played very, very narrow, if they play narrow again, they're going to leave very, very much space in the wings, and that will be absolute gold for the likes of Zaha and Balassi. So I think 5-4, Palace +1. So pretty much they're the same as a double chance, really. I think 5-4 is a very good price there.
3 odds against bets already for Rossi for Crystal Palace to get around the back of a static Arsenal defence. Well, it was when they played West Ham at the Emirates. Let's go to the big one of the weekend. May not be the big one for you betting wise. Let's see what kind of a wager Rossi has for you here. Man City versus Chelsea, 1st versus 8th. I love doing this at the beginning of the season. It makes it sound really manic, doesn't it? Man City top scorers last season. Chelsea haven't got a bad record though in Manchester, have they?
They haven't got a bad record at Manchester City. Well, they don't really have a bad record anywhere now these days, really, Chelsea. And the match odds here are pretty fair in terms of Man City, 29-25. As I said, I tend to see anything better than evens as a pretty good price, and I can see that being taken on by a lot of punters, especially how Chelsea have started. And there's a lot of furore, obviously, off the pitch at the moment for Chelsea.
Yes, Doctor.
But you can actually get almost 3-1, 14-5 best price for Chelsea, which is absolutely huge odds for a team with the calibre of players that Chelsea have. But I actually think that the draw here at 51-20 is very good value. Chelsea, when they were chasing the game against Swansea, looked actually almost frail at the back, which was remarkable considering that they were the best team defensively last season. The likes of Montero, in particular, was given Branislav Ivanovic a real torrid game.
Oh, gave him a run around, didn't they?
But however, once Courtois was sent off and they sat back and they just dug in, they actually looked a better side. And I think Chelsea, at the moment, actually suits them to kind of sit back and then break with the likes of Hazard.
Which, so many teams.
Which I think they'll try and do exactly that at Man City. So I don't think they'll lose this game. I think the draw at 51-20 is a pretty good price. And that's my reasoning, because no one parks the bus better than Jose Mourinho.
Even though he hates the opposition doing it.
Even though he hates the opposition doing it. And even with 10 men for 40 minutes or so, they didn't lose that game because Chelsea tend not to lose games. They dig in and they take at least a point, and I think that that's what they'll try and do here up against a pretty decent Man City team.
And if you can find a price about Jose Mourinho not letting any of his medical team on when Hazard falls down injured, then let us know here at easyodds.com. Let's go to the final live match of the extended weekend. We're going to go to Anfield for Liverpool against Bournemouth as the Premier League take on the Championship. Oh, sorry, they're in the Premier League now. It's 6th versus 14th, but they rather played like a Championship side in their first home game, didn't they, in the Premier League?
Yeah, it was a bit of a party pooper from Tim Sherwood. Aston Villa weren't fancied by many to go there and win, and the balloon had already popped after one game. But there you go.
I like it. The cherry popped.
The cherry was popped. There you go. So yes, Liverpool to win 2-0 at 6-4 is my tip. I do think that Bournemouth are a little bit powder puff. They went with pretty much the team that got them promoted last season. They brought in 6 players in the summer and only used one of them, Joshua King, in their match on last weekend. And I'm not sure what Eddie Howe is thinking in terms of how do I try and intersperse last season's team, who were so good, with the new signings. And I don't think that he actually knows his best team yet. And I think at 6-4, Liverpool to win 2-0, he seemed to be a bit more dogged this season. They've signed a lot of players who are hard workers, the likes of James Milner, who is now sitting in with Jordan Henderson, which makes it a very strong back six, which many will raise their eyebrows because last season, obviously, they actually, ironically, let in 6 goals in their last game of the season. But they bounced back and they kept a clean sheet last week, and they didn't really look like letting in a goal at any point in that match against Stoke, I don't think. So odds of 6-4 on Liverpool to win 2-0 is my bet there.
Not many teams will go to the Britannia Stadium this season, win and not concede any goals at Stoke City. So there you go. It's the first Premier League video cast of the year. Rossi going odds against on every single bet. Double chance Villa 27-20. Even Southampton to turn over Everton. Palace +1. That's on the handicap 5-4. The draw 51-20 between Man City and Chelsea. And last but by no means least, and do explore all these different markets because there are literally 70 or 80 on every Premier League game. Liverpool to beat Bournemouth 0 6-4. Thank you, sir. What are you doing this weekend? Are you watching anything?
I'm gonna try and see as many of these games because I'm pretty excited about it, as you are.
It's a 5-timer here on easyodds.com.